Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree Buonomo. Hi if you're new here, or hey if you've been here before. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of a discussion video. The last discussion video I did, I will link it up above, was all about querying and whether or not you need to pay for professional services to do querying. So it was very much in line with writing. But today's discussion, I want to kind of take a step back and I want to refer to a comment that I received probably a couple months ago at this point. Now I'm going to apologize immediately because I cannot find this comment. I'm sure it's somewhere. I know I responded to it. I wrote it down as a potential video to make because this individual had commented that they wanted to know if I had any tips and tricks on how to maintain a writing routine while going to grad school, as they were about to enter grad school this coming August. So the time that you are seeing this video, most people are heading back into school, whether that's high school or college or graduate school or anything else. It's about this time of year when that is beginning again. So I wanted to try to get this out ahead of things and also just acknowledge that it's not going to be quite a how do you manage a routine video. So before I get into the details of this, I would like you to sit back, grab a beverage of your choice. Mine today is a caramel latte because we're talking about self-care, so you gotta treat yourself. And do something, get in a comfy position, put on some comfy clothes, get a comfy pillow, a blanket, whatever, because most of this focus today is going to be on self-care while you're in grad school and not necessarily how to do a routine. So let's jump into it. So when I got this comment on my channel, I definitely wanted to provide something, and I racked my brain for months trying to figure how can I deliver a manageable writing routine or tips on how to manage this when you're in grad school. Because grad school is quite extensive, and depending on the field you're in, there could be more requirements needed. Though I think at any level, being a graduate student is incredibly time consuming. So I was really trying to figure out what it was that I could offer to help people who might be wanting to still write while they're in grad school. And really, when it comes down to it, I don't know what advice I could really give that isn't out there. Much of the same writing advice that you will hear about just scheduling a routine in general applies whether you're in grad school or high school or you have a full-time job or you have 3 jobs. It's all about finding time and trying to fit in where you can. And I don't really think that's anything new, and it's not something that I'm going to claim as original. It is just what it is. And if we really want to be honest, and if I'm honest with myself, I don't have a great writing routine right now. If this is the first time you're on my channel, then hi, I'm Bree. I have a full-time job. I'm trying to write books and query, and I'm also in grad school for the second time. I graduated with a master's in psychology in 2017, and within the last 2 years, I decided that I wanted to become a licensed professional counselor. The degree I have did not have all the credits I needed in order to do that, so I had to go back into grad school, complete some credits, and do an internship in order to be accepted by the state board in order to get my license. So I'm here, and I am probably busier now in my entire life than I ever was. And because of that, most of my writing routine or schedules or finding time to write has gone out the window. And this is what I am going to say. Sometimes you can do all it takes to create a writing routine and to try to find time and fit time in, but a lot of this comes down to self-care. The best advice as a upcoming licensed therapist and counseling professional can offer is that you need to be taking care of yourself first and foremost. In my position, as I said, I have a full-time job where I work 40 hours a week, and I'm also doing an internship on top of it. So that means some days I'm working 11 to 12 hours a day with barely any breaks because that's the only days I can fit in my internship times. I also have a class I have to attend once a week, and I have a life that I want to live on top of anything else that has to go on in a day: eating, sleeping, and then writing. And to be honest, part of the reason that my writing routine is almost non-existent is because as I've been getting more and more into the schooling and I've been doing my internship, I have not had the energy to write as much. And it sucks. I don't want to not be able to write, but that's the reality of it. It's not even that I couldn't find time. Like, I could for sure find time to fit in, and I could fit in a half hour or 15 minutes or 2 hours some nights. But it was the energy that I didn't have. On top of it, I was having a lot of personal life issues going on, and if you're interested in that, so I don't have to rehash it, I put a May update, and there's a lot of things that went on in May and June, and it was just crazy. So not only was I having a lot of personal upsets in my life, I was also still dealing with the same stuff as I was. And for like 2 months, I didn't really write anything. I had one night where I host a writing club, and I kind of was writing for that, but otherwise it didn't go well. And this is all to say that there's such a pressure, I think, for writers, especially writers on YouTube, to perform. We are putting ourselves out there and we're recording ourselves writing and doing these things. And there does come a certain level of expectation from viewers that we need to be doing things and we need to look like we're doing things and we have to have updates and we have to publish. And sometimes we're still humans. It's hard to actually get there and be able to also provide content while we're still writing, which is why, I think coming back to the self-care piece of things, you kind of have to prioritize, and sometimes your mental health is going to be above writing. So I really want to say too, it's not so much as a failure that you're not getting into a routine or you're not writing, but you're prioritizing something else in that moment. Now for me, as I'm filming this, the last week has been extremely productive for me writing-wise because I took the time to address my mental health and get that all settled so that I have been interested in writing again and I feel motivated to write. And not just because I have deadlines set for myself or I have a pressure against me, but it's because I genuinely wanted to write and I'm so happy when I get to do that. But I look back to the beginning of July when I was super stressed out. My dog had just died. Like, I was so sad and I was trying to do Camp Nano and I was trying to write things and I just couldn't. Like, I was not enjoying the writing process. So I decided that I had to do what was best for me and I had to take a step back. I just told myself, if I feel like writing this day, I'm going to write. And if I don't, I'm not. If I want to read instead, if I want to binge video games, I want to binge TV, like, I'm going to do what I feel is going to make me and my mental health the best in that moment. And most of the time in the last month or two, it has not been writing. I think that's the most important thing when you are putting something that already has a lot of expectations and pressures on yourself, such as grad school, to be aware of. You might not be able to always prioritize writing, and that's okay. If you need permission to tell yourself it's okay, here is your permission. It's okay if writing can't be your number one priority all the time. For the user that commented about, how do you balance everything? I don't know if they specifically are just doing grad school, but if that's the case, if they're just doing grad school, I'm going to assume they're grad school full time, and that's a big commitment. For me, I'm a full-time worker, I'm an employee, and I'm doing grad school part-time, and it's still a lot, and it takes a lot of mental power to get through that because you have to do everything yourself in grad school. You have to schedule yourself, you have to keep up with things, and most of the time classes are only once a week and usually 3 hours long. So then not only do you have to sit in a room or on Zoom for 3 hours, which I hate, it's super taxing, it does not do things for me, but then you have to go home and you have to study and you have to read your books and you have to do the assignments. And for me, just doing 2 semesters of sitting in classes and doing paperwork, I was doing papers all the freaking time and I couldn't always get to writing because I was doing a paper, I had a paper due, and that messed with my mental health a lot because I would feel guilty that I wasn't writing, but if I started writing, I would be like, I really should do that assignment or else that's going to cause me anxiety. So yeah, at the end of the day, I know I've kind of rambled. I'm not going to lie. I didn't script this at all. This is just going off the top of my head, and I'm sure that's probably to my detriment because I probably had many points I could have made. But coming back, the most important thing when you're in grad school, number one, should be your mental health. Writing will not work for you. It will not come naturally. It will not feel good if you are in a low place. And you can't always rely on writing to be a boost. For a lot of people, writing is a good escape and it makes us feel good and it helps our mental health. But if we're already low, for me at least, and I can speak from personal experience, my imposter syndrome hits 10 times harder when I'm feeling low or depressed or anxious. And when I'm trying to force myself to write, all I can think about is how much of a failure I am or how nothing is good enough. And it puts me in a worse mood, which then further makes me not want to write. So if you are feeling that way because the things that you have to prioritize is not writing, you're not alone, and it's okay. And it might be the time just that you need to take a break until you feel like you are okay to write again. When you're in grad school and you're doing things, the best way I could say is, start off by just planning what your schedule is going to look like, when your due dates are. For me, I'm a huge planner, and this might not appeal to everybody. I printed out my own monthly calendars that were just for graduate school, and I went through all my syllabuses and I wrote down the due dates for everything. Needless to say, I pretty much had something due every single week. And I did that because that helped me be able to figure out when I would be able to find some time to write or hang out with friends to write or do YouTube videos or anything like that. Because the chances that I had a week off from like assignments due, I would motivate myself to try to get my work done beforehand, so that way I could take a schoolwork break and maybe focus a little bit more on writing that week. But there were some weeks that I had like major assignments due every single day, and I just kind of figured, okay, I can't write for 2 weeks straight because I have this going on. And anything with college, if you have not been in college before, then it's kind of a rude awakening, because obviously NaNoWriMo is the month of November, and it's usually the hardest month of the semester because everything is coming up. You're just coming off midterms and you're preparing for your final exams. There's also a holiday in the United States, Thanksgiving, and that messes up things as well. So for me, I did try NaNoWriMo last year, and I succeeded in having one good weekend, and then grad school kicked my ass. I wrote a little bit here or there, but I hadn't fully intended to complete a whole novel in the month of November, and I powered through in a weekend. I have a vlog of that too. And then I didn't touch it for an entire 2 months because grad school just wiped me out. Do your best to schedule it in, but like I said, maintain your mental health first and foremost. Get your assignments done first and foremost. And if you have time, plan it. Plan some time where you can, but do not sacrifice the things that are important for you. For me, writing and my degree are neck and neck. I want to be a professional counselor. I also want to be a published author, but I want to do those things for the rest of my life. That is what I'm going for. So if you are in the position like me where you are pursuing higher education for a degree outside of writing, then my best advice to you would be you also need to prioritize that, because we can't bank on being multimillionaire successes in our writing. Most of us can't anyway. So most of us are going to want that comfort cushion, and that is important if that means your livelihood. So for me, like I said, I'm going to be a therapist till I die probably. I would love to be able to get to a point where I could do part-time therapy, part-time writing, and make a living off of both of them. But for now, my full income is therapy, and that is what I had to focus on. So ultimately, you need to do what's the best for you, but if I haven't done this enough, your mental health should be number one. So if writing cannot come a week or a day or even a month because you're in grad school or any type of other schooling, it's okay. You have time. Publishing can often seem like a rat race, and it's not. You have time to build up your stories, to make them better, to get a backlist, to query. The industry is not going anywhere. We do not have to be overnight successes. We don't have to be published by the time we're 20. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, if your goal is just to be published and to put your work out there, it'll happen. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Let me know down below what you guys think. And obviously, as I said, this isn't really a how-to video, but more of a talk about self-care. So if you guys have any self-care tips for people who are in school and also wanting to write, please leave them down below. And also, if you have more tangible advice to give, definitely leave that down below and please share it with the world. I think it would be good to have both sides in the comment section, and if we can help each other out, then, that's what this channel and this community is for. So that's it for me, and I hope you guys have a wonderful time. And for everyone going back to school, I wish you the best. I myself am heading into hopefully the final semester of my entire life, so I can be done with school forever. And I am really hoping that things work out and I can complete things and graduate the second time in December. So if you are starting school or going back to school, I wish you well. And, you know, we're in there. It'll end soon. So until next time, guys, I'll see you then. Bye.